you all so much for being here. This is a taste of small farm America. Before we get started on our speakers, we have Jonathan Emord here, and Congressman Thomas Massie and Congressman Lloyd Smucker will be each giving a few remarks. And it is his firm, Emord and Associates, who filed a citizens petition with the FDA about the interstate transportation of raw dairy, which I am sure many of you have heard about in your meetings today. And thank you for listening to the advocates and the farmers who you've met with throughout the day. Jonathan's going to get a little bit more into it and maybe a little bit more into the legalese of it. So please welcome Jonathan Emord.
Thanks, Liz, for your group, for what they're doing, fighting this battle against the FDA. And thank all of you for your courage to remain in business despite the threats that come from the FDA. You know, one of the things that's unfortunate is that in this case particularly, there isn't enough FDA or there isn't enough congressional oversight of the FDA. Because I think if more members of Congress were aware of how the FDA is treating small farmers in the area of producing organic foods and unpasteurized milk and dairy products, they would be appalled to see that the great weight of the federal government is being used to crush small business, particularly when there is no foundation in proof of adulteration or injury to consumers. You know, Mennonites and Amish farmers have, since the founding of the Republic, relied upon organic and unpasteurized dairy products as a staple in their diets and in their communities' diets. And the FDA, several years ago, passed this regulation, which had the draconian effect, no exceptions, of prohibiting any movement of unpasteurized products into interstate commerce. So within, say, Pennsylvania, Amish and Mennonite farmers can harvest milk, and it can be unpasteurized, and they can drink it, they can use it in cooking. But as soon as they happen to cross over the Maryland line, they suddenly are subjected to federal enforcement, to the extent that FDA has undercover agents that pursue Amish farmers, go onto their farms early in the morning or late at night, open up their refrigerators and look for unpasteurized milk that they then track in interstate commerce. Well, look, there are two ways of dealing with this. One is the jackbooted thug approach, which the FDA has chosen. And there's another more commonsensical way of dealing with this. All over the country, people eat sashimi, sushi, oysters in the shell, steak tartare, all of which have the same or greater risk of bacterial contamination as unpasteurized milk. And yet the FDA doesn't go after those markets. It goes after this vulnerable market. Now there's a simple solution which our petition to the FDA provides. It's a far less draconian way of dealing with this, much less expensive for the federal government, and doesn't involve the jackbooted thug approach, which has been their approach for decades. And that is to simply put on the label of unpasteurized products that they're unpasteurized, and in the case of milk, that those products, if you wish to pasteurize them, you can do that at home. You can cook them at a certain level, certain heat, and achieve the same kind of pasteurization. Indeed, many universities, particularly state farm universities across the country, have websites that provide for how to pasteurize milk yourself. And so just by merely providing that information, there's been full information to the consumer, and the consumer can elect to take the same risk that the consumer takes when they eat sashimi, sushi, or oysters on the shell, all of which are not subject to the same degree of prosecution or punishment that they ruthlessly impose here with this arbitrary ban in interstate commerce. And I salute the members of Congress who are about to speak because of their support for an end of this abuse, and I urge all of you to take a close look at how the FDA is treating people who are unquestionably great Americans and examples for us all. The Amish, the Mennonite communities, and those who believe strongly in having organic food available to the American consumer. And believe me, the American consumer richly wants this as an alternative to the highly processed foods that are otherwise available. So thank you very much. Best of luck to you. We'll fight this petition battle and hopefully prevail with the help of you and others. Thank you so much.